Let's go live now to former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. What a day, Mick Mulvaney. That's the first thing to say here. We were speculating on what might happen yesterday. Today, we know what Donald Trump knows now, and it's pretty much as we suspected.
It is, and that's a little surprising, Laura. You remember when we talked yesterday, where I was encouraging folks to sort of wait and see what was in the indictment in case there was new evidence, new witnesses, new anything, and it appears that there isn't. It appears that this is exactly what folks have been talking about for several weeks. Some very, low-level misdemeanor business reporting violations married to a campaign finance violation. So there's nothing new here. It's causing a great deal of consternation on both the right and the left in America in the last couple of hours. That even Obama officials have been on television here saying that they don't quite understand where the there is here, that everybody's known about these charges. There's no new information. Some of this stuff is more than 10 years old. So it's unclear tonight as to why Alvin Bragg did this. He's the attorney, the district attorney in Manhattan, because it is exactly as weak as many people thought that it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard from Alan Dershowitz as well, and I thought this was really important. He spoke to Shara, he read out the text messages he got from Donald Trump yesterday, and it's pretty much as we all suspected where Donald Trump's head would be at.
It is. I think he was a little afraid. I know he was a little angry. I know that for sure that he was angry with the indictment. I think he might have been a little bit disconcerted, let's say, going into the courthouse. But when they unveiled the indictment, I think there had to be a sigh of relief amongst both Trump and his legal team. And I dare say the flight home from Mar-a-Lago, flight home to Mar-a-Lago, I think they just landed about 30 seconds ago, was probably jubilant, simply because the case appears to be so weak. This speech that he's going to give here in about an hour is going to be fun to watch, because you're going to see Donald Trump probably in very high spirits.
Yeah, I think so as well. But as you say, those that know him the best and us talking to him at the moment detect, an underlying sense of nervousness, how this might affect the campaign. We understand that the next appearance from Donald Trump is going to be in December. So that just shows you how slowly the wheels of justice will turn in this case. So what does it do long term? I mean, it's dividing America. We're united in the spectacle of it, but how long is that going to last?
When it comes to Donald Trump, the spectacle could last forever. There's no question about that. Keep in mind, there could be hearings before now and December. We have some rules under our criminal justice system that essentially allow a criminal defendant to go to court and say, look, we need more details. There's not enough in this indictment to allow us to prepare our own case. It's called a bill of particulars. You can go and do that. So there may be several more court hearings between now and December. But you're right, the next formal hearing has been scheduled for December. Of course, that date, Laura, takes us very close to the beginning of the 2024 election cycle. The first primary elections are in January in 2024. So just a month before the next hearing. So again, it goes back to what you and I talked about tomorrow. It could be facing a situation where Donald Trump could be on trial in the middle of the primary election, could be found guilty, could be found not guilty in the middle of the campaign season. And you can only imagine the different sort of impacts that could have on his political future.
Mick Mulvaney, as we sit here today, we see these live shots from Mar-a-Lago with the supporters gathering there, waiting for the former president, the wannabe return president. He wants to be the prodigal son in 2024. What has Donald Trump done to the political class? Sure, he's made it more entertaining, but how do you reflect on what he has done to unity or otherwise in your country?
Yeah, that's a longer question for another day, I guess, to get into any detail. You could ask the same question about Barack Obama, who was supposedly elected as a unifier, had the exact opposite effect. Donald Trump never tried to be unifier. Joe Biden sort of said he wanted to and hasn't made much of an effort. So yeah, when it comes to division, we could go on for ages about it. I think it's fair to say that he's lowered the standard. I mean, face it, at the end of the day, Laura, we are talking about hush money payments to a porn star. Now, that's not what the criminal charge is really about, because as we've talked about before, technically that's legal in our country. But that's what this is, right? That 30 years ago, a politician could never survive that kind of scandal. But certainly today, people don't seem to think twice about it. So is that Donald Trump's fault? Is it the country's fault? Again, a longer discussion. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that things will never be the same since Donald Trump has been president.
Absolutely. What about the justice system? I mean, I remarked before to Pete that essentially Donald Trump, with his millions and millions of dollars, has been able to lawyer up every time he's accused of something and really play the legal system to his benefit as much as possible. What we see today here is, and whatever you think of the charges, you still need, the wheels of justice to play out. He is equal before the law. That principle still remains, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, but there's still, no one can disagree with that, because that's right. There is no one who's above the law, period, end of story. But we do have things like prosecutorial discretion. Prosecutors don't charge everybody with everything they've ever done wrong in their entire lives. You couldn't do it. Plus, we have this concept, Laura, that typically the way the criminal justice system works in this country is that we see a crime and then we go out and try and find the person who committed that particular crime. Here, it feels a lot like that has been turned on its ear. And what Alvin Bragg did is found a person, Donald Trump, and then went out to go look for something that Donald Trump had done with which he could be charged for a crime. That's, I think, why you're getting so much pushback from folks on the right and even in the center and to a certain extent to the left tonight. It's fair to say, I think, that if this gentleman's name was not Donald Trump, these charges would never have been filed against him.
Well, he's a confidence player. We know that. He loves a room full of supporters. That's why he keeps on going back to rallies in his heartland. He's about to do that in his own home at Mar-a-Lago. We can see these live pictures here where the room is filling up. It looks like standing room only at the moment. Mick Mulvaney, what do you think he's going to say?
Yeah, listen, that's a great question. Here's what I think you should pay attention to, your listeners, everybody's. There's going to be two different speeches tonight. There's going to be this speech that he's reading. They'll probably throw a teleprompter up. They've been working on the speech, my guess is, on the plane. But there's going to be that part of the speech. And then there's going to be Donald Trump extemporizing. Keep in mind, there's no gag order here. We talked about that yesterday. There could be a gag order that would prevent him from talking about all or part of the case. That did not happen today. So he's under no legal limitations as to what he can say. They're going to write a speech on the plane that will probably be down the middle and a little bit sort of calm, and moderate's not the right word, but not extreme. Listen for when he starts looking at the camera directly, not reading the teleprompters, and shooting from the gut. That's where you're going to get some insight into how Donald Trump really feels about what happened today.
Mick Mulvaney, always good to talk to you, particularly today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Laura.